So this is why you don't get in a hurry. I didn't put these on right. This is the bottom. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Real quick before we get started today, I just want to say if you enjoy this kind of content and you hadn't already subscribed, please go ahead and hit that like button and follow. It really helped me out as far as getting my name out there and reaching a broader range audience. And if anybody's trying to get into car audio and this sort of thing, I think these kind of videos would be beneficial to them, and I really appreciate it as well. But yeah, let's get started. So if you missed the last video, go check that out and then come back to this one. In that video, you can see me from start to finish. I built this blow through for this single sub ZV612. Got it all mounted. Behind the scenes, I went ahead and I should have filmed it, but I didn't. But behind the scenes, I went ahead and put the box in here. I hadn't mounted it or anything yet, but I just kind of want to go ahead and slide it in there because that's the next step. I have to basically figure out this partition for this rear window so I can wall this off and separate the bed of the truck from the cab. So that's what we're going to be working on today. And what I'm going to have to do, I have to get some measurements, and I don't have a piece of wood long enough, so I'm gonna have to do it in 3 different sections. So I'm gonna do one center section, and then I'm gonna do the 2 corners on either side, and then Craig jig screw them to that center piece. So I'm gonna get some measurements. What I'm gonna do to figure out where exactly to cut this port, I'm gonna cut my center section first, and then I'm gonna get it set in here where it's even on both sides, and then I will slide the box forward and trace out from the back side. I'll trace out with a pencil all the way around so I know where to cut that port at. I don't know exactly what I want to do on this bottom section yet, because I know I want to relocate my amp from under the seat back to here. I kind of want to mount it upside down because it's the JP, or it's the Down for Sound JP23 version 2, and I kind of want to, they got the plexiglass backing on the rear, on the bottom of the amp, and you can see the capacitors and all the nice wiring and stuff. I kind of want to mount it at an angle right here, but I need to figure out about this part before I do that. But one step at a time. I'm gonna work on getting this center section cut out, and then check back in with you after that. So I got the center section cut out. Everything's lining up pretty good. I need to trim it on the top side of this port just a little bit. Maybe just sand it because it's kind of setting on the top lip there. It's clearing pretty good on the bottom. But other than that, I like it. I went ahead and did the pre-drilled holes for the Craig jig screws, because that's how I will attach the corner pieces to that center piece. And I guess need to get some measurements for the corner pieces. I'll probably start on one side, and then once I get that one side, perfect or close to perfect, I'll transfer that onto another piece of wood, and it'll just be like a mirror image. So I'll get to working on that. So everything seems to be lining up pretty good for the first test fit. I went ahead and marked the line, but I need to trim off the corners on the top just a little bit on both sides. I'll do that whenever I go to take it out after I get these brackets done and trim that edge. But I'm gonna have to probably sand the top of this cutout right here just because it's resting on the port just a little bit. So I'm gonna have to try and sand that down so it's not kind of rubbing on there. I guess the next thing I got to do is I got to figure out my brackets, how I'm going to mount this panel to the actual wall, so it's, you know, cinched up against that really good, so it seals off around the edges so no air is escaping into the camper shell area. But yeah, I'm just going to use, I got these, they're called mending straps, just like pieces of metal. I don't know what gauge they are. They're pretty thick. They got, you know, like pre-drilled holes for screws and stuff, and it's used for like attaching wood to other wood. But I'm gonna get these brackets. I gotta bend them and kind of figure out where I want to place them and stuff, and so it kind of holds good on there. But yeah, I'll be back. All right, so I got all the brackets mounted, and I got the holes pre-drilled. I'll have to come back and drill them out a little bit bigger for the threaded rib nuts, and I'll do that once I take everything out and put those rib nuts in. But I guess the next thing is to go ahead and get this thing taken out and start working on these acrylic windows. So originally I bought this off Amazon. It's 1/2 inch acrylic. It was a 6 by 18 piece of acrylic, and originally in my head I would have liked to have put it up here, you know, so I could look out the rearview mirror and stuff like that, but there's just not enough wood there to mount it to. So what I did is I cut it in half, so now it's a 6 by 9, got 2 6 by 9 pieces of acrylic, and I've already kind of roughly put it, you know, where I want it. So I'm gonna use the router, well, jigsaw. I gotta cut that out with the jigsaw and then come back with a router bit to drop that down a 1/2 inch, and that'll still leave me like a 1/4 inch of wood to bolt it to. And I might do something on the back side, just to kind of reinforce it, maybe, so it, you know, put an extra piece of wood around the perimeter so the bolts have, you know, better hold, just overall bracing. But yeah, I'm gonna do acrylic window there and one on this side. I think they look pretty cool, so you can kind of, that'll help me be able to see if I need to kind of turn my head and look over my shoulder. I can kind of still see out the camper shell. And yep, I'm gonna get this thing taken out and then start working on these windows, and then after that I guess it'll be time to start doing a little painting. Real quick before I get started on the cutouts for the windows, I'm gonna go ahead and throw some primer, some flat black primer on these brackets. That way that can be drying, and I might just leave it this color, just a flat black primer. This stuff covers pretty good. Or I might just throw, you know, some gloss black over it. Yeah, get this paint thrown on here, and then I'll start working on the windows. So before I do the cutout on the actual window piece itself, I wanted to do a test piece. That way I knew everything was gonna line up good, and didn't want to screw that extra, you know, screw that side piece up, because then I had to go, you know, start back all over. But so I got my depth set on the router bit to where the acrylic is flush with the top of the wood, and there's still a good bit of wood there to bolt to. So what I did was just traced out the outer edge of this acrylic, and the router bit that I have from the center bearing to the outer edge of the bit is a 1/2 inch. So what I did was, once I traced that line out, I just measured over a 1/2 inch, you know, from here to here, mark a line, and did that all the way around. So I've got that inner piece, so I know I need to cut the inner line. So when I did that, then I come back with the router, and it actually, the router, since it was a 90-degree angle, the router wouldn't cut that. It left kind of like a curve, so I had to use a chisel to basically just chisel out the corners so this piece would fit in here. But it's nice and tight fit. That's what it looks like from the other side. I don't know yet if this will be the side that you see from inside the cab, or if this will be the side. I think this side, this way looks better, but I'll have to figure that out before I put everything together. But yeah, I just want to show you how I cut that out real quick before I move on to the actual side windows. So after I got these inner squares traced out, 1/2 inch lip, I went and I pre-drilled some holes for the jigsaw blade to fit down into. But before I used the jigsaw, I took it to the miter saw, and I went ahead and cut as much as I could with the miter saw. So I've already got pretty much a straight edge to follow. So really all I got to worry about is the corners. So it'll just kind of give me a better, nicer, cleaner cut. You know what I mean? So, and what I'm thinking is, so let's see. All right, so I'm gonna cut that inner square out, and then it'll look like that. So this is gonna be the side that you see from inside the truck. So if I cut that inside square out and then I flip it and route it from the back side, then that will leave me that ledge, that lip on the back side. So whenever you see it from the inside of the truck, it's going to be that nice clean cutout. You won't see the ledge. So I think that's how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to get these squares cut out and get it routed real quick. Here's a little idea of what this driver's side is going to look like. Got it all chiseled out. I'm glad I did end up, mounting it like I did. Putting the, where I routed it on the back side. I think that looks a lot cleaner. I still got to drill my holes. I'm thinking 10 bolts per window. I actually got to stop and run to Lowe's because the bolts that I had, or have, I think are going to be just a little too big. So I'm going to make a trip to Lowe's and find a little bit some smaller bolts. And I've got this, I never ended up using it for what I was going to use it for, but this super glue gel, I think that's going to work to put a good bead around that, and then squeeze it down on there and let it dry. And then, well, of course, I'll already have the bolt holes drilled for the bolts and stuff, but yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. But yeah, just if anybody that sees this or tries to attempt cutting this out, just make sure, like, take your time whenever you're chiseling out the corners, and just be slow going with it, and just so you don't screw nothing up. And make sure you want to have a nice sharp chisel. Shout out to my buddy Dylan Scruggs. If you're watching this, thank you, sir. He got me a good 3-pack of these a little while back. But yeah, I still got to do the passenger side one, but I didn't see the need in having, making you sit there and watch me chisel out 2 of these. So you get the general idea. But yeah, I'll be back. I'm gonna run to Lowe's real quick. All right, we back. Let's see here. $28.42 later. Got our 1¼ inch carriage bolts to bolt the metal brackets to the wood. Let's see, we got 36 count, some flat washers, and those are for the 10 by 24 1.5 inch. This is what I'm going with for the acrylic windows. And then got some nylon lock washers and some more lock washers, and I think that's it. Yep. I almost forgot, these are the 1/4 by 20 3/4 inch long bolts that's gonna go, that will be bolting the wood to the actual body of the truck. That's what the threaded, these will thread into the threaded inserts. Alright, so I got the other window chiseled out, and I got that acrylic sitting in there. I got all the holes marked where I'm gonna drill them out at. Like I said, this is gonna be the side that you see from inside the truck. But yeah, let me get these holes drilled, and we'll check back in here soon. So this is why you don't get in a hurry. I'm glad I caught it, because it'd have been too late after I painted it. But so got everything cut out. I was going to go ahead and do PL, and then go ahead and throw my screws in, and then wood filler. That way it could be drying for a couple hours. And I was sanding everything down. I was getting everything nice and smooth, and then I realized I didn't put these on right. This is the bottom of the panel, so it's supposed to go like this, and it would not work. So I'm glad I caught it before that PL fully dried. See, that's how it's supposed to set. This goes under the port, and this is the top part of the port. So this window needs to turn and go on that side, and vice versa. But I got these screws out, freaking boogered it up pretty good, but hopefully I can fill that in with some wood filler. I think I'm gonna try and have to maybe take a little torch to this to heat that PL up a little bit. Maybe it'll, because all the screws are out, but it's still, I've hit it with a rubber mallet. I'm gonna try and use some heat to maybe loosen that glue up. But yeah, it'll be alright though. Alright, so problem solved. I was able to, it took a minute. Actually, the first side took way too long, but after I done that first side, I got a kind of little rhythm going as far as the best way to get that, scrape that wood filler out. I had a couple tools I was using, but after I finally got them screws out, and then I got the torch, and I put some weight on the middle piece, and then I let, you know, the one side hang over, and I was underneath it with the torch and applying a little bit of pressure and just keep heating that up, and then finally the glue released. So then I had to sand all that, scrape, you know, all that halfway dry glue off, and then sand it down a little bit, and then drill some more Craig jig holes, and I was able to still put them in the factory holes, but I just wanted to do that, you know, because in case they wouldn't, you know, bite like they originally would. So yeah, I'm having to about got all this wood filler filled in, and then let this dry real good. I got to go cut grass and then come back, sand it, and then start painting. It's getting pretty late. It's almost 7 o'clock. It's starting to get dark here. But I'm gonna sand this wood filler down. It's dry now, but go ahead and sand this down and then try and get this thing painted before it gets dark. So this is the truck bed coating I used. It's the same coating I used when I done my door panels. I really like this brand Raptor liner. It covers really well. It's got a good texture, and I ain't got no complaints with it. So I let that dry overnight, and the sun's not hitting it right, so you can't quite see the texture, but it's always turned out really well for me. So I did the front and the back, and I'm only going to do the splatter, the white splatter on the front, on the side you would see from the inside of the truck. And how I'm gonna do that, same way I've done my doors. I just take some white spray paint and spray it into a cup, and then dip my brush in that paint, and then I just kind of just sling it in just different directions until I get the pattern, the splatter coverage that I like, and then I'll come back and put some clear over top of that, probably a good 2 coats of clear. But yeah, I'm gonna get started on that, and hopefully before the end of the day I can have this thing installed. So as you can see from that last clip, I got the back panel all finished up. I got the brackets on, and it's ready to go. So all I gotta do now is drill out these holes a little bit bigger for these threaded inserts. And so I already got these 2 drilled out. So all you do, you thread that rivet nut on the end of your rivet tool, and then you just slide it in the hole, and then you just crimp it down. now. You put your bolt in there with a lock washer, of course, but just for educational purposes only. But yeah, I'm gonna drill out the rest of these holes and get these rivet nuts installed, and I guess next clip will be it fully bolted in. So I will see you then. Alright, so I knew I was gonna have to trim this panel up a little bit. So how I did that is I just kind of placed it in there and you know, kind of put a little piece of tape where I knew it needed to be cut at, and then just kind of eyeballed it all the way up, and then I took a Sharpie and just traced that line just so it'll clear that wood panel. But yeah, and then just take this tape off here, and then that'll give me my nice straight line to follow with the razor blade. Yep.
Oh, would you look at that?
So I got it all, everything installed minus the headliner. I still gotta see if it's gonna fit with the way these brackets and bolts are, because on my headliner, how I had to build it out for the speakers, I don't know if it's gonna clear or not, but I'll just have to wait and see. But I wanted to go ahead and wrap this video up. It's getting a little, you know, kind of long. So, but yeah, got there's them acrylic windows. I can see all the way out the back. Got my light LED strip going in there. And there's looking out the driver's side. So that way I don't have a blind spot, so I can look right back over my shoulder and see right through the window on the camper shell. But yeah, I still got to figure out where I'm gonna mount my fire extinguisher at. The next thing I'm gonna do, I didn't want this to be all one piece. I wanted it to be kind of separate. So in the next video, I'm basically going to be reinforcing this area, and I want to relocate my amp down here and have it, you know, vertical. I'm thinking if the headliner doesn't work, I'm going to try and build, basically figure out where I can mount the two 6.5s and the tweeters, possibly back here in this area. And I'm gonna take this crossover out. I'm gonna redo the paint on it to match this paint scheme right here. But for the time being, I'm just gonna run this paint scheme, but I can always go back and change it in the future. And I'm also gonna play around. See, right now I've got the box all the way pushed up against the inside of the cab, or inside of the camper shell, all the way up to the edge of the bed. I'm gonna play around with, I'm gonna unbolt it and slide this back to where it's mostly flush with this back wall, and see if that changes the way it sounds, because you know sound will travel off and it's bouncing off the windshield. So I'm gonna kind of play around with that. But yeah, maybe in the next video I'll give y'all a little demo. And I was looking at it, so it was unintentional, but this box kind of looks like an underground power transformer, like the one right here at my house. Call it the darn transformer box. But yeah, guys, I think that's gonna wrap this video up. Be sure to stay tuned for the next one. I'll be working on this rear panel back here for the amp and everything, and I will see y'all then.